Hi, my loves. Welcome to writing. It's been a while. Last week, I had you guys working on some grammar skills. Just didn't want to overwhelm everybody with too much. So I hope you got some practice on Brain Pop with your nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. We are actually going to jump into a new writing unit this week. So when we left off, we were writing persuasive letters to other readers, trying to convince them to read the books that we were reading. And we still had more work to do with that, but you guys did a lot of persuasive writing practice with your writing in your packet for those 10 days that you were working on the packet. So even though there is some more things that we still needed to do with that, I think it's time for us to move on to our next writing unit. And if we were together in school, it would be about that time as well. So it works out really well that the month of April is actually poetry month. And in reading, before we left school, we had started exploring poetry in reading. I had given you guys poetry packets. You guys went and chose poetry books from our class library, and you were starting to get familiar with what poetry is. So I have Get Epic up right now, and you all have the login for Get Epic. And Get Epic has some awesome poetry books. I'm actually going to use them for our immersion for today for writing. We are going to do writing poetry a little bit different than we would do if we were together. If we were together, I would actually be teaching you with lots of different tools and strategies of how to write poetry. And I am going to do that, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently, and I'm going to have us write different poems than we would write if we were in class. But it is still writing poetry, and I think you're still going to have some fun with it. So for today, for our immersion, I'm just going to have us look at some different types of poems. Now, we did this for reading, but for writing, we're looking at it in a different way. We're looking at it as a writer. We're seeing, what do these poets do that I can do too when I'm writing my poetry? So some of the types of poems that we're going to look at is we're going to look at acrostic poems. We're going to look at cinquain. We're going to look at prose and rhyming poems. And then there's even some more. If we click here, there's even some more poems that we could explore. So I suggest that you go onto Get Epic, type in poems, and click on any of these guys. All of these are about poems for the most part. So we're going to start with this one. This is acrostic poems. Right? This is actually one of the poems that we're going to be writing this week. So I'm going to skip ahead just past the explanation, and we're going to, take a look at what an acrostic poem is. So there's a couple different things. So we're going to start with this one, right? This one is taking, and we're actually going to be doing this exact one this week. This one is taking a word, a name, a person, a place, a thing, anything, and you spell it out going up and down. So each line gets a letter. And in an acrostic poem, with each of those letters, you come up with a word or words that begin with that letter, but that also describe the word that you write. So this acrostic poem is a name poem, and the person's name is Michelle. And as you can see, for each of the letters of her name, she has written something about herself. So Michelle, milk drinker, imaginative, curly hair, happy, explorer, left-handed, learner, eager. We're going to be doing this type of poetry and exactly this way of writing an acrostic poem for our name a little bit later this week. Another type of acrostic poem is this one right here, where you're actually using nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So the word is school. So for school, they said in school, there's spelling, chapters, homework, offers, outstanding learning, right? So this actually, the O, and the L goes together. That school offers outstanding learning. So those three words actually go together to make a phrase. This acrostic poem, instead of just a word, it's a group of words. So the word is butterfly, and we spell it going from top to bottom, one letter on each line. And for butterfly, it says bask in the sun, unique wing patterns, travels near and far, tickles your hand, eggs into caterpillars and cocoons, rests at night, flower nectar, Lepidoptera insects, yellow and blue and orange and green, black and brown and white. Right? So notice these type of poems don't rhyme. As we learned when we were looking at them for reading, not all poetry has to rhyme. Okay. Some other type of acrostic poems, right? We have this one right here, which is for popcorn. And if you read it, it says this: popped out pieces of corn in the palm of my hand, ready to throw up in the air to hit my nose. So they actually made this poem flow where each line was not separate, but each line worked with the line after it. So that was pretty cool. All right. So we're going to take a look at some of the other types of poems, right? These type of poems are called prose, Prose. So we're going to explore some of those. We're actually not going to be writing these types of poems, but we're going to just take a look at what a prose poem is. Right, so this one right here. I love bugs, any kind of bugs. Take long, skinny bugs called walking sticks. Do walking sticks climb bricks? Sometimes I stare at sticks on the sidewalk, and I could swear I see them grow legs. I love ladybugs full of polka dots, as if they are wearing party dresses. Maybe that's why they're called ladies, even though some of them are boys. But it's kind of nice having a bug named after me. Well, sometimes mom says I'm not a lady. Who cares? Bugs are both boys and girls and ants. Ants are amazing, hauling huge things on their backs. They march in long lines like soldiers. I even like mosquitoes, except not when they bite. I don't like biting bugs, but moths and beetles and grubs and grasshoppers and honeybees and dragonflies, they are all great. Did you ever think bugs might take over the world? Bugs don't bug me. They keep me company. So this one is almost as if a story is being written. And what these type of poems do is they take all of these different ways of writing poetry and just put it all into one. So it almost seems as if it's a story. Right? Another type of poem. These guys are fun. These are called cinquains. We will be writing something similar to this, but not exactly like this. Right? This is actually, it's a short poem. It does actually have rules. A lot of poetry doesn't have rules. Cinquains have 5 lines. Sometimes they rhyme. You're going to see this one does follow a pattern. The A's are the rhyming and the B's are also rhyming. So this cinquain says, summer means flowers, grass growing green, storms that bring showers to wash and clean. But don't forget sunscreen. Right? This one is actually a pattern of syllables. So each line has a word with a different amount of syllables. Recess, ladders and slides, monkey bars that stretch arms, swings, ropes, poles, and laughing children, stop rain. So it follows a pattern of 2 syllables, 4 syllables, 6 syllables, 8 syllables, back to 2 syllables, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. This is another type of cinquain. Tumble, twist, jump, bend, leap. Techniques of gymnastic that make me fit and strong, but tire me out. Right? Sometimes we have cinquains that use senses. Sometimes cinquains tell stories. Here's another one. Soapy, circle all soaked. I hold the stick and blow so patiently, and then it won't. It did. So this is almost like a riddle. You got to figure out what they're talking about. Right? Let's take a look at one more type. Right? Let's take a look at some rhyming poems so that we can see that even though they do not have to rhyme, sometimes they do. Okay. This one is called Paper Ink. Oh, look, it's a book made of paper and ink. I feel giddy, I think, but don't mean to be smug. A book needs no plug. All right. This one is another poem that rhymes. This is called a slant rhyme because the rhymes are almost rhymes. Okay, you'll see what we mean. Should you buy a stick, a puck and net, or a glove, a ball and bat? Which sport should you play? It's not up to me. You simply go with your gut. So it's actually the T at the end that is the same in all of those. So it doesn't rhyme as in it has the same vowel sounds and the same ending. It's just the letter T at the end. All right. This one is called an I rhyme. It's words that look like they should rhyme, but they don't. So cookies, cookies, all I love. Cookies, cookies, I need a stove. So you think love is going to rhyme with this because it's spelled the same, but we know with foundations that it is not. Okay. This is another one. White is the light every night that colors the face of the moon. Lean down, look around for brown, spot a caterpillar in its cocoon. A mellow but bright yellow fellow, the sun is hiding from the stars. The green is between blossom and dirt, our stems like strings on guitars. The red on its head and coal black mask made a cardinal's handsome face. Black clouds unpack a cracking attack, storms boom, pour and race. Raindrops bend light with all their might, spreading color around the world so bright. So it's actually looking for you to see if you can take their clues to come up with what they're talking about in that poem, right? So this week in writing, today was just taking a look at, oh, this one looks fun. You guys should check this one out, Pizza and Other Stinky Poems. This week we are just, or today, excuse me, we are just going to be exploring different types of poems. So what I would like for you to do, if you would like to just try it out, if you would like to start writing some poetry of your own just to give it a try, go for it, right? I love that. There actually is a book here called Writing a Poem. You might even want to look at that. Or just check out some of these different poetry books, see which ones follow a pattern the way that you like, and give it a try. You don't have to try it out, but if you feel like you would like to, you can. I would like everybody, though, to go on to Get Epic, click on your name, and go ahead and find a poetry book that you would like to explore today. And I will see you again tomorrow for writing, where we're going to do our first type of poetry together. Bye, guys.